The sky was dark and heavy over the planet Virex. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of explosions echoed across the barren landscape. The once beautiful cities were now ruins. Fires burned everywhere, casting a red glow over the land. The Virexian people had never seen such destruction before. Commander Elar stood on the edge of a cliff looking down at the chaos below. His heart pounded in his chest. He had spent his whole life protecting his people, but today, everything seemed lost. The enemy forces had come quickly and with great power. Their ships filled the sky like a swarm of angry hornets. Elar knew that their own weapons were no match. The enemy had advanced technology, faster ships and deadly weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. The Virexians were fighting bravely, but they were losing ground. In the command center, a group of leaders gathered around a large glowing table. The lights flickered as explosions shook the building. "We cannot hold them much longer," said Lyra, the chief strategist. Her voice was calm, but tired. "Then we must send a call for help," said Elar. "If anyone out there hears us, they must come quickly." The room fell silent. Sending a help signal was a risk. It meant admitting that they could not win alone. It meant hoping that some other species, some powerful ally, would hear their cry. But it was their only choice. A small team hurried to the communication room. They worked fast, activating the ancient signal device. The machine crackled and hummed as it powered up. For years it had been silent, waiting for a moment like this. Elar watched the screen. He hoped that someone, anyone, would respond. The message was clear. "We are under attack. We need help. Our planet is dying." Minutes passed, like hours. The leaders waited, watching the empty screen, praying for a reply. Then suddenly the machine beeped. A signal was coming through. "Who is it?" asked Lyra, her eyes wide with hope and fear. The screen showed a strange symbol. It was unlike any they had seen before. The voice that came through was firm and calm, but with a tone that carried power. "We heard your call," the voice said. "We are coming." Elar's heart skipped a beat. Who were these new helpers? What power did they hold? Would they save the Virexians or bring new dangers? As the alien ships approached, the skies lit up with unfamiliar lights. The Virexians watched in awe and confusion. These ships were huge, armed, and different from anything they knew. But no one knew the full story yet. The arrival of these new forces would change everything, not just for the Virexians, but for the entire galaxy. The help they called for was more than rescue. It was the beginning of a war no one expected. The silence over the Virex skies was broken by a sound unlike anything the aliens had heard before. It was a deep, steady hum that grew louder with every passing second. The people looked up, eyes wide with a mix of hope and fear. From the far edges of space, bright lights appeared, moving swiftly but with great purpose. The ships were enormous, much larger than anything Virex had ever built or seen. Their surfaces gleamed under the planet's sun, shining like giant stars. They did not resemble the sleek, sharp shapes of the enemy ships that had attacked Virex before. Instead, these new ships looked solid and strong, built to last and to protect. Commander Elar stood again at the cliff's edge, watching the fleet approach. His heart was full of questions. Who were these newcomers? Why did they come so quickly? And what did they want? The message from the voice had been short but clear. "We are coming." Yet no one knew what to expect. The alien leaders gathered once more in the command center. Lyra, the strategist, paced slowly around the glowing table. Her eyes never left, the screen showing the approaching ships. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "We must prepare to meet them," she said quietly. "We do not know if they are friends or something else. Our history teaches us to be careful. Help can come with a price." Elar nodded. "We have no choice but to trust them for now. Our people need hope. And maybe these ships bring that hope, The giant vessels landed near the broken cities. The ground trembled slightly. The ship's doors opened slowly, and strange figures appeared. They were tall and strong, wearing armor that gleamed like the ships themselves. Their faces were hidden behind clear shields, but their posture showed confidence and readiness. The Virexians stared, unsure what to say. They had asked for help, but meeting this new race face to face was overwhelming. The humans, as they would soon learn to call them, spoke calmly and politely. "We come to protect," the human leader said through a translator device. "We heard your call and answered it. Together we can stop the threat." Elar stepped forward, trying to hide his doubt. "Why do you come with such power? What makes you so sure you can help?" The human smiled slightly. "Because we have fought many battles. We know how to survive. And we will fight with everything we have to keep peace." Still, the Virexians felt a strange tension. The humans did not show fear or hesitation. They moved like soldiers trained for war, not just helpers. The strange weapons on their ships and the quiet hum of their machines told a story of strength and skill. As the first night fell on Virex, the new allies set up camp near the city ruins. Lights from their ships lit the dark sky like a new constellation. The Virexians gathered to watch, whispering about the strange visitors. Some hoped this was the answer they needed. Others worried that calling for help might have invited a force, too powerful to control. Suddenly, sensors on a human ship beeped sharply. The human leader and Alar rushed to the control room. The screen showed a blip moving fast toward their position. The enemy was not finished. "We must act fast," the human leader said calmly. "This is only the beginning." Alar felt a chill. The war they thought was almost over was far from done. The arrival of humanity's warships had changed the battle, but it had also made it bigger and more dangerous. The Virexians looked to their new allies, unsure if they had saved their planet or brought a storm they could not stop. The morning sun rose slowly over the battered planet, casting long shadows over the ruined cities and the fresh signs of new hope. The air was heavy with tension. The Virexians moved carefully through the streets, watching the giant human warships that now stood like silent giants nearby. The humans were not like any allies the Virexians had ever known. Their presence changed everything. Commander Elar met again with the human leader in the command tent. The two stood over a glowing map that showed the enemy positions. The enemy was still out there, hiding in the mountains and dark places, waiting for the right moment. But now, the humans had brought new ways to find and stop them. The human leader's voice was calm but full of quiet confidence. "We have ways to find them even when they try to hide. Our machines can sense their movements before they strike." Alar nodded, feeling a mix of hope and worry. "Your power's great, but the enemy is smart. They know this land better than we do." The human smiled faintly. "That may be true, but we are not here to fight alone. We are here to teach, to protect, and to win together." As the sun climbed higher, strange machines from the human ships began to move through the city ruins. Small flying devices hovered silently above, scanning the area with soft blue lights. The Virexians watched with a mix of fear and wonder. These were not weapons, but tools. Tools designed to find hidden threats and keep the people safe. Among the Virexian crowd, a young scout named Kira followed one of the human teams closely. She was curious and brave, eager to learn about these newcomers. She noticed how the humans worked with care and precision. They were calm but alert, ready for anything. Suddenly, one of the scanning machines beeped softly and stopped. Kira held her breath as a small door in the machine opened, revealing a hidden tunnel entrance beneath the rubble. Elar and the human leader rushed to the spot. The enemy had been hiding in this tunnel, preparing for their next move. "We need to be careful," the human leader said quietly. "This is not just a hiding place, it may hold traps or surprises." Together, the humans and Virexians prepared to enter the tunnel. Kira felt her heart race. This was the moment to see if the new allies were truly as powerful as they claimed. The dark tunnel was cold and narrow. The teams moved slowly, their lights cutting through the blackness. Every sound echoed. Every shadow seemed alive. The tension grew with each step. Suddenly, a soft noise came from deeper inside, the sound of voices whispering and machines working. The humans signaled to stop. They raised small devices that sent out pulses of light. The whispers stopped. The tunnel fell silent again. Elar looked at the human leader, who nodded. They were close to discovering something important. As they moved forward, they found strange equipment. Devices that seemed to control the environment of the planet, machines that could change weather or block signals. The enemy had been preparing more than just attacks. They were trying to control Virex itself. "This is worse than we thought," Elar said. "They want to take more than just land. They want to control our world." The human leader placed a hand on Elar's shoulder. "That is why we must stop them. Not just for you, but for all who live in this galaxy." The tunnel suddenly shook. A low rumble spread through the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something was awakening deeper inside. The teams prepared to move faster, knowing that time was running out. The enemy was ready to strike back, and now the fight was not just for survival, but for the future of the planet. Outside, the skies darkened. Strange clouds began to gather, covering the sun. The Virexians looked up with worry. Kira stood beside Elar, feeling a strange mix of fear and determination. She knew that with these new allies, the future was uncertain, but it was a future they had to fight for together. The sky had darkened, but the stars were bright and steady above the battered land of Virex. The strange clouds still gathered, swirling slowly as if whispering secrets. On the ground, the humans and Virexians worked side by side, preparing for what seemed to be the greatest challenge their world had ever faced. Commander Elar stood beside the human leader, looking out over the growing camp. The machine's humans had brought hummed softly, lights blinking in the dusk. The enemy's presence was still close, but now the new allies had found ways to track their movements more clearly. "Your people have strange ways," Elar said, turning to the human leader. "These machines, they learn and change quickly. It is unlike anything we have seen." The human smiled quietly. "We have had to adapt to many dangers in our history. These tools help us protect and understand the world around us." Suddenly, a soft beep came from a nearby device. The human leader's expression grew serious as he studied the data. "The enemy is moving again. They are gathering in the northern valley." Elar frowned. "They have always used that valley to hide. It is a place where the sun rarely reaches." The human nodded. "We must act before they grow stronger. This may be their last chance to strike." Plans were quickly made. Humans and Virexians formed teams, combining their strengths. The Virexians knew the land well, but the humans had technology and strategies new to all. Among the Virexian scouts, Kira felt both excitement and fear. She had seen the humans' power, but she also saw their care and patience. They were not just warriors. They were teachers, leaders, protectors. The team moved toward the northern valley as night fell. The darkness here was thick, wrapping around the tall trees and rocky cliffs. Sounds of night creatures mixed with the distant hum of machines. As they neared the valley, strange lights flickered deep inside. The enemy was awake and ready. The humans set up quiet listening devices. They used the soft glow of their tools to avoid being seen. Elar's heart beat fast as he watched their calm focus. Suddenly, a low vibration passed through the ground. The valley floor seemed to pulse, as if something beneath was stirring. The human leader raised a hand, signaling everyone to stop. "Something is coming," he said quietly. "Prepare yourselves." From the shadows, large shapes began to move. Not creatures, but machines. Slow and deliberate, but filled with power. They were unlike any weapon or vehicle the Virexians had seen. "These are not just soldiers," whispered Kira. "They are parts of a larger force, built to change the world." The humans moved with quiet efficiency, activating their own machines. A soft wave of light spread out, reaching toward the enemy devices. The valley trembled as the two forces faced each other, technology meeting technology. The battle was not loud or fast, but deep and strategic. Suddenly, the enemy's machines reacted. They began to change the weather itself, calling forth heavy clouds and cold winds to hide their movements. The humans and Virexians struggled to keep their ground. But as the cold wind blew, the humans revealed new tools that could push back the storm and protect their team. LR watched with growing respect. These allies were unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. As the night wore on, the enemy forces slowed. Their machines grew quieter and less confident. At dawn, the sky cleared and the valley was still. The enemy had retreated, for now. But the humans knew this was not the end. "This fight will test us all," the human leader said softly. "But together, we will protect what matters." LR looked at the rising sun, feeling a new hope. The battle for Virex was far from over, but with these new allies, the future looked brighter. Kira smiled, ready for whatever came next. The story of their world was changing, and she was part of it. The dawn on Virex brought a calm that felt almost too quiet after the restless night. The sky was painted with soft pinks and oranges, and the air was filled with the fresh scent of earth and growing plants. But beneath this gentle scene, the minds of the humans and Virexians were alert and ready. The recent battles had shown that their enemy was patient and clever, always seeking new ways to challenge them. Commander Elar stood beside the human leader once again, the glowing map between them showing shifting points of interest. Each point marked the movement of enemy forces, their hidden bases, or strange devices planted deep in the forests and mountains. "We need to understand more," the human leader said. "The enemy's plan is more than simple attacks. They want control over this planet's energy and resources. If they succeed, it will affect more than just Virex." LR's eyes narrowed as he studied the map. "Then we must find these devices and stop them before they can do more harm." Teams were formed quickly, mixing human technology experts with Virexian scouts and engineers. Among them, Kira was chosen to lead a small group to explore the dense forest near the river, a place rumored to hide one of the enemy's key control points. As Kira and her team moved quietly beneath the tall trees, the sounds of the forest surrounded them. Birds sang softly, leaves rustled, and a gentle breeze touched their faces. But Kira knew the peace was fragile. The enemy was hidden somewhere nearby. The humans carried small devices that sent pulses of light into the ground and air, searching for unusual energy signatures. Kira watched with fascination as their machines revealed parts of the forest that looked normal, but hid strange technology beneath the surface. Suddenly, one of the devices beeped sharply. The team stopped. The screen showed a small, but powerful, energy source nearby. Kira signaled to move carefully. They followed the trail to a clearing where strange metal structures rose from the ground. The structures were tall and thin, with glowing lines running along their surfaces like veins. "What are these?" one of the Virexian engineers whispered. The human expert examined the machines closely. "These are energy collectors," she explained. "They pull power from the planet itself and send it somewhere else." Shilar's voice came softly through the communicator. "If the enemy controls these, they can change the planet's balance. The forests, rivers, even the air could be affected." Kira's team worked quickly to disable the machines. The humans used special tools that could block the energy flow without breaking the devices, an important skill that kept the technology from being destroyed and allowed for study later. As they finished, a soft humming began to grow in the forest. The trees around them seemed to lean in as if listening. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted. The earth opened slowly, revealing a hidden entrance to an underground facility. The team exchanged looks. This was deeper than anyone had guessed. With cautious steps, they entered the dark tunnel. Lights from their devices revealed walls covered in strange symbols and maps of the planet. Deeper inside, they found rooms filled with advanced machines. Screens showed images of other parts of Virex and even places beyond the planet. Kira realized the enemy was not only planning to control Virex but also using it as a base to watch and influence other worlds. Outside, the skies darkened once again. Clouds gathered faster than before, swirling like a warning. Back at the camp, the human leader studied reports coming from all teams. "The enemy is preparing something large," he said. "We must be ready for what comes next." Elar stood silently, feeling the weight of the moment. The quiet morning had shifted into a day full of unknown dangers. Kira looked toward the horizon, her heart steady but full of resolve. The battle for Virex was becoming a test of courage, wisdom, and trust between old allies and new. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, not just to save their home but to protect the future of the galaxy. The sky over Virex was a canvas of shifting colors, deep blues fading into soft purples as night slowly crept in. The calm was fragile, hanging like a thin thread that could break at any moment. The air buzzed softly with the energy of machines and minds preparing for what everyone sensed was the final stage of their struggle. Commander Elar stood beside the human leader once more, their eyes fixed on the starry sky, but their thoughts far beyond it. The enemy had been pushed back many times, but now it was clear that they were not just fighting for land or survival. They were fighting for control of something greater. "We've discovered the core of their plan," the human leader said quietly. "They seek to tap into the planet's central energy source. If they succeed, it would not only give them power here, but across many systems connected to this galaxy." Elar's grip tightened on the map in front of them. "Then this ends. Now we cannot allow that." Together, the humans and Virexians gathered their forces. What had once been scattered teams were now united into a strong and focused alliance. Every person knew the importance of the moment. There was no room for doubt. Kira was among those preparing to lead a crucial mission. The underground facility, discovered weeks earlier, held many secrets, and now it was time to explore its deepest chambers. What lay beyond might decide the fate of their world. The team moved through the tunnels, their lights cutting through the darkness. Strange symbols lined the walls, telling stories of old powers and ancient struggles. The deeper they went, the heavier the air felt, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly. Machines around them hummed louder. The core of the enemy's energy was near. They reached a vast chamber filled with glowing crystals and pulsing machinery. The energy here was alive, flowing through cables and crystals in a dance of light and power. The human leader carefully examined the controls. "This is the heart of the operation. If we can take control, we can end their threat." Elar looked at the team, feeling the weight of their mission. "Be ready for anything. The enemy will not give up without a fight." As they worked to disable the enemy's control systems, the room filled with a soft, bright light. The machines responded, shifting and changing, as if alive. Outside, the sky was filled with strange colors. The enemy was making their final move, sending waves of energy through the planet's atmosphere. The humans activated shields that shimmered like glass, protecting the cities and people below. The Virexians helped strengthen the barriers, working in perfect harmony. Inside the chamber, Kira's team faced challenges unlike any before. The machines tested their patience and skill, presenting puzzles and barriers that required not just strength but wisdom to overcome. Slowly, the team gained control, redirecting the energy flows back to the planet. The glowing crystals dimmed, and the pulsing machinery slowed. Outside, the skies cleared and a peaceful silence returned. Elar and the human leader looked at each other, a quiet respect passing between them. They had faced the greatest test and had come through stronger and united. The people of Virex stepped out from their shelters, eyes wide with hope. The planet was alive again, free from the dark threat that had loomed for so long. Kira smiled, knowing their story was far from over. But this day was a victory, a promise of peace and the strength that comes from standing together. The humans had answered the call for help, and together they had protected a world, and perhaps a future where many more worlds could find hope.